let's go ahead and get started. This is the beginner's class. The beginner's class assumes that your data entry is already done, meaning we're not going to be covering how to put people in or how to get staff in or your groups and services or anything like that. What we're going to be focusing on is booking appointments, unbooking appointments, rescheduling appointments, as well as doing standing appointments and a few other things in the appointment book that you should be aware of. Then we're going to cover sales. We're going to go over the processes of processing a sale through the register, and we will also cover commissions as well. And that's what we're going to be talking about in this beginner's class. So let's get started. First thing we're going to do is we're going to go to our appointment book. Now we've got two different appointment books to choose from. Actually, technically we have three, but we're going to be focusing on two of them today, and that's the day view screen and the week view screen. The day view screen, you're able to get to it easily by going to book here, left clicking, and when you left click it brings up today's schedule for the staff that is actually working on that date. So this is appointments for Thursday, March 23rd, 2017, and there's our staff. And if I were to go one day in advance by using these arrows, now I'm on appointments for Friday, March 24th, I can click the arrow again, appointments for Saturday, March 25th, so that takes me one by one, and I can use it to go backward as well. Now that I'm in the day view screen, what I want to do first is choose a customer. Now that customer is somebody that's either already in my database or somebody that I need to add to my database. If they are already in my database, all I need to do is left click on the button that says Client, and that'll bring up my client selection search window. Now I can look up by default by last name, or I can switch it to first name, or look up by telephone number, or even by swiping a membership card. So we're going to go ahead and pull up Miss Michelle Babcock. So Michelle Babcock is here now. And now I can choose my group. Now all of your groups are user defined. You have created your own groups and services. And when you choose a group, like for instance if I choose laser, only my laser technicians appear along with the rooms and equipment that lasers might be able to be done in. If I choose something like waxing, again, only my waxers appear and the rooms that waxing can be performed in, and then I'll come up here to hair, and again, just my hairstylists, no rooms or equipment required. So let's stick with hair for now. And I'm going to now choose my service. So we'll say a blow dry and curl. Now you might notice that Debbie's name just highlighted. When I chose blow dry and curl, Debbie's name highlighted. Why? Is it because she's the only one that can do blow dries and curls? Absolutely not. In fact, all of these people can, which is why their names are still highlighted. However, the red highlight under Debbie's name means that the last time Michelle Babcock was here and received a blow dry and curl, it was Debbie who performed it. So we'll go ahead and book that with Debbie at 1 o'clock. Now, how did we do that booking? Let's go through these steps one more time, nice and slow. We're going to choose a customer from our database, whoever they may be. Then we're going to choose a group, choose a service. Maureen was the one who last performed this on John Dabney, so we're going to come down here to 10 o'clock under Maureen's name, 10 o'clock. And we're going to left click to block out the time of the appointment. That's the amount of time the appointment takes. That's what fills in. Then anywhere within that blue box, I can right click to choose what type of customer this is. For instance, did they ask for Maureen? If so, they are a request. This is reminding me that this client has 4 no-shows. That's good to know. Say okay to that. So John Dabney here is getting a blow dry and curl with Maureen at 10 a.m. And this purple strip down the right tells me that John Dabney requested Maureen. One more time. We're going to choose another customer. Donna Fabiani this time. We've chosen our group and our service. We're going to book with Abigail at 12 o'clock. Abigail, 12 o'clock. Left click to block out the time. Right click to choose what type of customer they are. This time I'll say it's a no type. Notice no purple strip down the side. Donna is now booked for a blow dry and curl with Abigail at 12 o'clock, but because that purple strip is not down the side, that means Donna did not necessarily ask for Abigail. I may have just booked that appointment because Abigail had the time available, okay? So that's how to book what we call a single-tiered booking. We call it single-tiered because all we've done is book with a staff member and nothing else. So let's try a two-tiered booking. So I'm going to choose Candace here. And this time I'm going to go to my massage group. Again, everything changes. I'm going to choose the service. In this case, I'm going to choose a physical therapy 60. And I'm going to book that with Michelle at 11 o'clock. Left click to block out the time. Right click to choose what type of customer it is. And now it says, what room is this being performed in? And I'll choose the herbal room and accept. This is two-tiered booking. I've got Candace booked with Michelle in the herbal room. So both of these appointments booked simultaneously. That's two-tiered booking. Let's do three-tiered booking this time. So we'll go with Layla here. We'll stay in massage, and this time I'm going to choose a hot stone 60. And I'm going to book that with Christian at 12 o'clock. Again, this time what equipment is being used. So Layla was booked with Christian in the elixir room with the black stones, kind of like a game of Clue. That's three-tiered booking. Any questions on booking a standard appointment?
Nope.
All right, moving on then. The next thing that we're going to be talking about is rescheduling an appointment. Now, the easiest way to reschedule an appointment is to simply check this box here that says reschedule. By doing that, you've activated your drag and drop feature. So Donna calls and says, hey, can I come in a little early? Can I come in at 11 o'clock? I can left click to hold it down, drag it to 11 and release. Left click, drag it to 10 and release. Left click, drag it to 10:30 and release, etc. Drag it to 2 o'clock. So it's a really simple way to move an appointment around. Now, Donna calls and says, hey, you know what? I can't make it today at all. What other times does Abigail have available? All right. So now I'm going to go into my week view screen. And I do that by going to Abigail's name and right-clicking. Now I've got a bunch of options, and one of them says go to week view. Now I'm looking at Abigail's schedule for 2 weeks. Once again, I can check reschedule, and I can move this appointment to Saturday the 25th at 11 o'clock, or move it to 1 o'clock on Monday the 27th, or move it to 9 a.m. on Thursday, March 30th, or bring it right back to today. So now I'm back on 11 o'clock. So dragging and dropping makes it very, very easy to move an appointment anywhere you'd like. Now, what if you needed to move an appointment really far into the future, something like sometime in May, and you're certainly not going to see that many days up here. Even with our little plus sign here, which we can add days, we can see up to 31 columns on a single screen. But that's still not going to get us to May. So instead of dragging and dropping this, I'm going to do it a different way. I'm going to right-click on the appointment, and I'm going to select Reschedule here. So this is different than dragging and dropping. Now it's just asking me, where am I putting this appointment? That little question mark is waiting for me to click somewhere so that the appointment can fall into it. So I'm going to go to my calendar, and I'm going to go to May, and I'll say May 10th, Wednesday, May 10th, and accept. So now my first day is Wednesday, May 10th, followed by another 2 weeks. So I'm going to come here and drop it in. That appointment now is booked for 10 a.m. on Wednesday, May 10th. Right-click, reschedule, and go to today. There I am again on Thursday, March 23rd, and drop it into 11 a.m. And then right-click and go to our current day, and once again, we're back in our day view screen. Now, there is another way to get to the week view screen. You don't have to be in the day view and right-click on a name. You could have gone right to the appointment book, and instead of left-clicking, right-click. And that opens your day view screen automatically, and you can choose any one of your staff to take a look at their appointments. So you can just flip and flop right between one staff member and another. Okay? All right. Any questions on the week view screen before we continue?
Nope. Learn something new.
All right. So we've talked about rescheduling. We've talked about booking, of course. Now we're going to talk about unbooking. So Donna calls and says, I can't make it today, and I don't know when I'm going to be able to reschedule for. So we're not rescheduling this one. We're going to right-click and choose Unbook. Now it asks me, are you sure you want to unbook this appointment? If I say yes, this appointment will vanish off of my screen. If I say no, nothing will happen, just like a cancel. No, done. Okay, now I'm going to try that one more time. I'm going to right-click, This time, though, I want you to look at this one. It says unbook all this day. A lot of people get afraid of that button. They think that if you click that button, all of the appointments for that day are going to vanish. Absolutely not the case. This will only unbook all the appointments that Donna has, because it's Donna's appointment that I right-clicked on. So if she had multiple appointments today, maybe she had 3 appointments, if I said unbook, it would only unbook the appointment that I'm on. If I say unbook all this day, it will unbook all 3 of Donna's appointments if she had them. So that's the difference between unbook and unbook all this day. We'll go ahead and unbook. Are you sure you want to unbook this appointment? Yes, and the appointment is gone off of my appointment book. Now, just because it has vanished off your appointment book doesn't mean that it never existed. If an appointment was ever booked, you will be able to search for it in the appointment inquiry. So if Donna showed up at 11 o'clock today and you said, well, I'm so sorry, I can't check you in. I don't have you scheduled for today. And she says, what are you talking about? I even have an appointment confirmation or something like that. Well, I'm able to go into my appointment inquiry and take a look to see if there are any messages, excuse me, if there are any appointments for that person that may have been unbooked. You may find that the appointment is for tomorrow at that time. Maybe the client just made a mistake, or maybe it was in fact unbooked, and if you're using password protection, it will even tell you who unbooked it and when, so that you would be able to talk to that person about it. Now, what about standing appointments? Standing appointments means you are booking multiple appointments for a single person, but over the course of multiple days, not multiple appointments in one day. Multiple appointments in one day is called a package in our software. You know, like a day of beauty. You come in, you get a massage, you get a wax, you get a facial, then you get your makeup done and your hair done, and that's a day of beauty. That's multiple services. That's a package. What I'm talking about is standing appointments, meaning you get the same service multiple times over time. So how do we do that? Let's say that we've got a customer that likes to come in every Tuesday at 11 o'clock. So I'm going to go to my standing appointments right from my appointment book, and this standing appointments window appears. Now, I don't have to do it from the appointment book. I could have gone from my main menu to appointments here and selected standing appointments, and there's that window again. Also, if I was in the sales screen, I could go to book appointments and choose standing appointments, and there's that screen again. So let's talk about how it works. Appointments, standing appointments. The first thing we need to do is choose a customer. So we're going to click on our little question mark there, and we're going to be able to choose a customer that's in our database. So we'll go with Olivia here. Then it wants to know, who does she want to see? What staff member does she want to see? And I'm going to say she wants to see Christian. So she asked for Christian, so that request type is a request. What service does Olivia want to receive from Christian? Well, I'm going to say she's going to get an anti-curl with blow dry. And that's an hour and 30 minutes long. How often is she going to come in to get the anti-curl and blow dry, and when is she going to start? Well, right now, I'm on Thursday, March 23rd. If I click my plus sign, I can move one day at a time. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, etc. Or I could hit the calendar and jump to anywhere I want. But let's click my plus sign a couple more times, and let's go to Tuesday, March 28th, 2017. That's going to be my first appointment. And I get to choose the time of day. I'm going to select 11 a.m. Then the frequency. How often is Olivia going to come in? I'm going to say she's going to come in every 2 weeks for her anti-curl and blow dry. How many visits does she want to come for? I could choose 1 all the way to 256. So you can really go crazy. Remember, if this is every other week, 256 appointments would be 10 years. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say 12 appointments. So my last appointment is August 29, 2017. Now, here's a very important step. If I hit show, every one of the appointments that I want to book are going to appear here. Now, notice, if they say okay, that means the appointment is okay to book. However, Tuesday, March 28th has X's, and Tuesday, April 11th has X's. Why? Well, those X's may mean that Christian is unavailable at that time. Maybe Christian doesn't work that day, or perhaps Christian is already booked that day. So one of the things that we can do if we see these X's is we can click on this appointment on Tuesday, March 28th. And I can choose an alternate operator or an alternate time. So they really want to see Christian. So I'm going to choose Christian. That's who they're already with. That's my alternate operator. What other times does he have available? The only other time, the earliest time that he has available is 1:15. And these are all the other times he has available. But 1:15 is the earliest he has available. Does that work for the customer? Maybe the customer says, boy, that is just not going to work. Okay, so let's try Debbie. And, okay, what about we could do a 12 o'clock with Debbie? Yes? Okay, we'll book that one. So now this is an alternate. I've got 12 o'clock with Debbie. Now I've also got X's here. We'll choose Christian again and see what times he has. Once again, the earliest he'd be able to do it would be 1:15. Let's do it. I'm going to go ahead and book that for 1:15 with Christian, and all the others are good. They all say okay. So I can go ahead and book it. The appointments have been booked. Okay, all 12 appointments were just booked simultaneously. So if we took a look and we went to Tuesday, we should be able to see Olivia Reagan. There she is for 12 o'clock with Debbie. And if I went forward 1 week, well, actually, yeah, we'll go ahead and forward 1 week and go to Tuesday. And we should be able to see Olivia again. Tuesday, April 4th. Who is she booked with?
No.
Oh, it was every 2 weeks. That's right. Tuesday, April 11th. There we go. And there's Olivia again with Christian, this time at 1:15. And if I went forward again for 2 Tuesdays from now, you'll see it's with Christian at 11 o'clock, just like we wanted. All 12 of the appointments were booked and booked successfully, instantly at one time by using standing appointments. Now, there is another thing I want you to be aware of in standing appointments. There's something called auto standing. How does that work? Let me just fill this in really quickly here. And we'll say that he wants to come in at 10 a.m. and we'll say every other day. And we'll say for 8 visits. Now, I hit show. Okay, I've got a bunch of X's here, but let's pretend these were all okay. And so I could go ahead and book these appointments. But what I can do is hit auto standing. And if I hit auto standing, what it does is it automatically adds another appointment at the end every time I use one. That way, James will always be 8 appointments out in perpetuity. So that's what auto standing can do for you. Yeah, you can only book 12 appointments or 15 appointments or 20 or 10 or whatever you want. But if you hit auto standing, it's like booking forever because every time they use one, it'll automatically book another one at the end. And without auto standing, it'll simply be the number of appointments that you have booked for them. Okay? Any questions on standing appointments? Go right ahead, please.
I noticed that we book by the rooms, and then we have the operators. So when I did that on my other screen, I went out for 1 week and I booked with one of our employees. Her name is, we're just going to use Lola, and it didn't give me the option to book for that room. And when I went to that appointment, it's just booked with Lola, but the rooms are all open as well.
Okay. Well, there's a couple of different reasons for that. The most important reason is when you set up your services. So we'll go to, when we go to our services, we need to make sure that the rooms that service can be performed in is checked off. And if those rooms are checked off, then it will ask you, what room am I going to book in when you book that service?
Okay.
Yeah, if you don't have those rooms checked off, then it will not ask you for a room because as far as it's concerned, it doesn't require a room.
Got it. Okay.
Okay. All right. Any other questions on standing appointments before we continue? Or on any appointments, for that matter. Okay. So moving on, the next thing that we've talked about booking, unbooking, rescheduling, and standing appointments. Now, there's a lot more to the appointment book. You know, there's the appointment confirmations, appointment reminders, there's placing people on the waiting list, there's advancing forward weeks at a time, there's changing the order that people show up in, the fact that the system can email your staff every night their schedule for the following day. things like that. But for our basic beginner's course right now, the ability to book, unbook, and reschedule is all we're looking for. So
Okay.
the next thing we're going to be talking about is the point of sale. And the first thing we're going to do is get to the point of sale from our appointment book. So I can, if Shelly walked up to the front desk to check out, I can right-click right on Shelly's appointment and select check out. Well, wait a minute, I'm on April 11th. That's not going to work. So let's go back to today. There we go. We're now on Thursday, March 23rd. Now Debbie comes up to the front desk to check out. I can right-click on her appointment and select check out. And when I select that, it will open my register with that ticket ready to go. Debbie saw Debbie for an anti-curl and blow dry for $140. Now, does that mean that that's the only thing I can do with that ticket? Of course not. I can still add things to the ticket by, for instance, clicking on service. Maybe she was upsold and say she also saw, no, not Debbie again, we'll go with Kathy this time, and got a French pedicure. Now, if she's got more, I can hit more and add additional things. Or I could just hit last, and now I'm showing that she saw Debbie for an anti-curl with blow dry, and she saw Kathy for a French pedicure. Maybe that's all there is to it, and I can go to payment, or maybe not. I may want to sell product to this person, or this person has grabbed a bottle off of the shelf she'd like to purchase. Now, there are several different ways for me to pull up product. One of those ways, with this field, you'll notice the cursor is already blinking in this field. If I have my barcode scanner and my system set up to accept barcodes, then I can simply scan the product and it'll come right up. Or I can type in a SKU number, like 20 here, and hit enter. Now it asks me who's getting commission on this sale, and I'm going to say Madison. So Debbie was sold by Madison the Justin All-in-One shampoo for $21, and I'm ready to go. Now, the next thing we're going to do is, what if I don't know the SKU number? Let me go ahead and remove this item. What if I don't know the SKU number and I don't have a barcode scanner? Well, then I can press this button, Retail, and I can look a product up lots of different ways, by SKU, by UPC, by vendor, by manufacturer, etc. Or I could simply hit Search and type in a portion of the name. And by typing in a portion of the name and hitting Enter, I'm able to see every product that I own that has that in the name. So maybe I want to make it a little bit shorter. There we go. So now I've only got my shampoo showing, and there's my Justin. That's the one I want. So I click on it and hit Accept. Now I can put in my quantity, choose who's getting the sale, and hit More to add more product to this ticket, or Last. And once again, Debbie was sold by Madison, the Justin All-in-One shampoo, and now perhaps I'm ready to go, or perhaps not. I may want to add a gratuity to this. So I click on the gratuity button. Yours might say tips. And now I can put a dollar amount in for Kathy and press accept, go back to gratuity and put a dollar amount in for Debbie and press accept. Or I can put a percentage in and let it do the math for me. So perhaps I put in 15% and accept. So now it's saying that Debbie's getting $21 and Kathy's getting $6.75. That's 15% each of the services that they provided. Now perhaps I'm ready to accept payment. So let's go ahead and exit out of that altogether and exit out of my my appointment book. Now, why am I doing that? Because I want to show you there's other ways to do it. I'm going to click on sales. That brings my register up without having a ticket in it. Everybody who has an appointment with me today will be listed here. And it will be listed either in alphabetical order or in order of checkout.
That's awesome.
So in my case, I've got it in order of checkout. If I click on one of these names, it'll fill their ticket in for me. John Dabney saw Maureen, got a blow dry and curl for $50. I'm going to clear that. What if the person doesn't have an appointment? Then I can create the ticket out of whole cloth simply by going to this button that says Clients and choosing my customer. So I'm going to choose Jennifer Pace here, and then I can go to service and say she saw Christian and she got a back facial. and more. She also saw Debbie and got a earwax. Why not? And last. So now I've got Jennifer came in, saw Christian for a back facial. She saw Debbie for an earwax, maybe a coning or something like that. And then I can do everything else I was doing before. I can add gratuities, I can add retail, or I can go to payment. So that is a ticket that I just created without them having an appointment. Now, what if they don't have an appointment, but they're not in my database? Then I hit new, and now I can add them brand new to my database and then create their ticket. What if I don't care who they are? Then I'm going to click on this one. Yours might say walk-in. It might also say one time. It can say either one of those. But when you click on it, it's going to say one time. And what that means is that you want to process this transaction, but you don't care who the person is. Maybe it's a minor and you're not going to market to them, but you are going to sell them the shampoo. So Matthew sold one time the Justin All-in-One shampoo. So if you don't care who they are, you're going to click on walk-in or one time. If you care who they are, but they're not in your database, you're going to hit new and add them and then create their ticket. If they are already in your database, you're going to hit clients, choose them, and then create their ticket. If they already have an appointment with you, they will be part of this drop-down, or they will be on your appointment book so that you can check them out by right-clicking and select Check Out. That's the process. Now let's actually do a transaction. So I'm going to choose John here, and let's sell him some product as well. Say that Leslie sold the Justin All-in-One shampoo here. And let's throw a gratuity on there as well. We'll do a percentage for Maureen, 15%. $7.50 is what she's getting. And now I get to go to my payments. And I can accept payment in cash. Now if I click this, I'm going to be putting in a number here. And if it's more than this number, it's going to make my change. If it is less than this number, then it will apply the amount that they gave, and the balance will have to be paid for in another way, like check or credit card or gift certificate, etc. You can have technically an unlimited number of payment types. So I could pay with cash and check. I could pay with cash and check and credit card. I could pay with cash, check, credit card, and gift certificate, all on the same ticket. I can even change who is paying. So this is $78.50 for John Dabney, who saw Maureen and got a blow dry and curl and gave a gratuity. But this was a gift to John from John's wife. So I could hit change if I wanted to, and I could say that maybe Marnie here is his wife or friend or whatever. But Marnie is the one paying. So even though this ticket is going to go, the history of this is going to go under John Dabney, it's still going to say that John Dabney saw Maureen and got a blow dry and curl. But if I view the transaction, it will show me that Marnie Dacey was the actual payee and not John Dabney. So you can actually change who is making the payment. So let's go back in there again, and we'll change that back to Mr. Dabney. All right. Now, cash, we just discussed. Check. If I'm going to accept a check, you may not, but if you are, then you're going to have an opportunity to put the check number here, and this is very good for your history. Also, I want you to be aware that if you were to go into the client's information, you could actually uncheck this that says pay by check. So maybe John Dabney has written you a few bad checks. So by removing that, by making that gray, then the payment option for a check for this particular customer would not be an option. When we went to pay by check, it would say that this person is not permitted to pay by check. Then we have our credit card. If you are processing your credit cards directly through the software, it's going to look like this. And you're going to click that button, and you're going to be instructed to stick your card into the card reader so that it can read the chip. If you are not processing directly through the software, then it's going to look more like this. And you're still going to choose what type of card they used. By doing that, you're still going to be able to keep a record so that your drawer is accurate, even if you're not processing directly through the software. Gift cards and gift certificates. If it's a gift certificate, you can simply type the certificate number in right here. If it is a gift card, you can highlight this field and swipe the card. A gift card or a gift certificate may not be used in ProSolution software unless it was sold through ProSolution software. And you can resell previously sold gift certificates or gift cards. You just don't charge for them because somebody already paid for them. So you might say, okay, hey, look, I'm new to the software, but I've got a bunch of gift certificates out there. Whoever your gift certificate company is now should be able to give you a list of your outstanding gift certificates, their numbers as well as their values. And then you can sell those right through the software here for $0. That will allow you to accept those gift certificates when that person comes in. Of course, if you don't already have them, then you just sell them new right from the point of sale screen. Another method of payment is series. Now, people often confuse series with packages. Remember how I described a package, like a day of beauty. You get multiple services in one day. That's a package. That's not what a series is. A series is the same service sold multiple times, all at once, but you use them over time. So for instance, let's say that you're a day spa and you do bikini waxes, and you've got a customer that comes in like a standing appointment every 4 weeks for her bikini wax, okay? Every 4 weeks. So you've already got her appointments booked out, etc. Now let's say the bikini wax is $100. So if she came in 10 times, she will eventually pay you $1,000 for those 10 visits. So you might say to her, you know what? You come in like clockwork. If you buy 10 bikini waxes at once, we're going to charge you $900 or maybe $850 or something like that. So they buy that. That's called a series. So now she has purchased 10 bikini waxes. If they own a series, it will be listed here. And so it might say 9 of 10 remaining, 8 of 10 remaining, 7 of 10 remaining. Every time they use one, it will reduce it from what they have available until they have used up their entire series. On account. On account is generally used for deposits. If the customer does not have any money on account with you, you shouldn't use this as a method of payment. However, you can. But what this would mean is that Mr. Dabney owes you this money. It will go into his account as a negative, as a debit, rather than a credit. So he will owe you that money. And he can come in any time and pay it down. If he has money on account already, meaning he gave you a deposit, and you pay with on account, then it will remove that amount from what he has on deposit with you. The next one here is the room charge. If you are part of a hotel or resort and you have our hotel interface, you will be able to charge directly to the room once that interface is set up. Also, traveler's checks, which works precisely the same way as personal checks. The difference is that with traveler's checks and personal checks, they are separated in your closing report. Other than that, they are exactly the same. Then we've got our other. Other allows you to create your own unique methods of payment. So you could have something like barter or trade. Then you could say something like electrician's wife, and you let the electrician did your wiring, and so you did these services for his wife gratis. So that would be something like barter or something like that. Finally, we have rewards points. And as you can see, Mr. Dabney has 1,138 rewards points. What are rewards points? Think of them like airline miles. Your customers are going to be able to earn points when they buy services from you or buy products from you or give you referrals. They can then turn around and use those points to get discounts or freebies. We talk more about the points program in the advanced class. This is the beginner's class, and we're not going to be focusing on that, but I want you to be aware that it exists. It's part of your software, and you can use it if you choose to. You certainly don't have to. All right. So these are our different methods of payment. I'm going to accept cash. I'm going to say that he gives me $80, and accept. It makes my change for me. And if I hit accept now, at this point, if my receipt was being generated, my receipt should have printed out or been emailed. My drawer would have popped open if I had a drawer connected as well. It reminds me the change is due. Ask the client if they'd like to book their next appointment. I'm going to say no, and done. The transaction has been completed. Now, in the client file itself, let's go with Babcock again. In the client file itself, down here in the lower left-hand corner, you have a box that says email receipts. If that is gray, their receipt will print. If it is blue, their receipt will be emailed to them, as long as you have their email address and as long as your Darcy system is up and running. I'm not trying to sell you anything. Darcy's part of your software. But if Darcy's not up and running, then the email system doesn't work. Darcy controls all of your emails in the software, and there's lots of different places for emails to go, including that one. So it will send emails directly to the customer for their receipt rather than printing it out. Now, again, there's a lot of things here in the point of sale that we have not covered. We didn't talk about transaction notes. We didn't talk about creating series or things like that. Those are part of our advanced class. This is the basic of creating a ticket or accepting a ticket and then processing the transaction. Any questions on what we've covered so far?
Nope.
All right. Okay, then the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to talk about setting up commissions. Now, there are 3 different commission types in the software. There is percentages, there are scales, and there are dollar amounts. Those are the 3 different types of commissions that you can do in the software. And all 3 of them can be done simultaneously. You can just set up one type of commission for your employees, or you could set up all 3 of them. And you can use them with different employees, or you could have all 3 of them on the same employee. It all depends on what report you run that will show you what the commission is based on what type of commission you've set up for them. So how do we do it? We click on the button that says payroll, and that brings us to this window. Now, the first thing I want to do is go to my employees, and I can add my employees here. I've already added 8 employees, which is why the next employee I add is going to be number 9. Those employee numbers are important because using them, I'm able to clock in and clock out. So Mariana Smith here is clocking in. Clock. There we go. She just clocked in. So she's going to use her employee number again, and now she's clocking out, and it shows the amount of time that she was in for that clock in and clock out period. So the employee number is important if you're going to be using the time clock. If you're not so much. Let's go back to payroll. Employees, we add our employees. After adding our employees, we can now go to things like our commission schedules. And our first one that we're going to talk about are scales. These are sliding commissions. So I'm going to select my Add Modify Tables, and I've got 6 different scales for services and 6 different scales for retail. I'm going to choose somebody I've already set up, Christopher Rosenthal here. That's Christian. And I've said for service sales, from $0 to $1,499, Christian gets 50%. And I've said from $1,499 and a penny to $2,000, Christian gets 55%. From $2,000 and a penny to $2,500, he gets 60%. And I can do that 6 different times. That's the service sale. I can also do it for retail sales. I said from $0 to $500, he gets 5%. From $500 and a penny to $750, he gets 7.5%, etc. Again, up to 6 different scales. That's my sliding scale. Another thing that I can do is rates. So I can go to my service rates and choose a particular operator like Christian and say, for this service, Christian gets this percentage. And for this service, he gets a different percentage perhaps. And so I can go through all of the different services and I can give Christian a different rate on each and every one of them. You might say, oh my God, I've got 150 services. I've got to do that for each one of my employees? Of course not. If you set up one of your employees, like say Christian, then one of the things that I'm able to do is make the same as another operator. So I could, for instance, go to all services and say, make the same as Ashley. Let's pretend that I've already created Ashley completely. And it's going to be the same for Christian as Ashley's, except for maybe a couple of differences. So by making it the same as Ashley's, I could then go back and change just those handful of ones that are different between Christian and Ashley afterwards. So that's a quick time saver. Another time saver is if you just do it blanketly. All operators, all services get this percentage and accept. Boom, you just did it. Every one of your staff members is going to get that percentage on every service. So you can do it individually, you can do it en masse, and even if you did this, you said all operators, all services get, and then you say something like 50%. Then you could go to individual operators and individual services and change them. If you said most of the services are 50%, but there are a handful that aren't, well then it would be a lot easier to do it en masse and then make the individual changes rather than put every single commission on every single service. All right. Then we have the dollar amounts. This is different than a percentage. This is an actual dollar amount. So I might say that when Christian does an anti-curl and blow dry, that's $150. And I'm going to say Christian gets $75. Now, that's 50%, but it's not really. And what I mean by that is that, let's say that Christian and I talked and he agreed that to get $75 for an anti-curl and blow dry. Well, now my rent has gone up and my electric bill has gone up and my vendors are charging me more for products. So I raised my price maybe to $160. Well, if I did that, then Christian would have got an instant raise if it was a percentage to $80, if it was 50%. But because it's not 50%, it's an actual dollar amount, just because I raised my price doesn't mean he gets an instant raise. Instead, it stays at $75 unless I change it. A lot of consultants today are going towards that mode of dollar amounts so that employees don't get instant raises just because you raised your prices. And the reason you raised your prices may have nothing to do with them. So just something to consider. Most places still do percentages, and you certainly can. And now we're going to go back to employees, go back to commission rates, and this time we're going to go to retail rates. So I get to choose my operator or all operators, and I get to choose a category. All of the different categories for my products are going to be listed here. And then I can put in a percentage for a particular category for a particular operator.
Gives them less of a percentage.
And in fact, I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'm going to go to my retail rates, and I'm going to say all operators, all categories are going to get 15%. Make it really easy. There we go. So I've set up different types of commission. Now, when I go to reports, I can go to sales, and I can go to my operator reports. Yours might be different. It might say therapist reports or stylist reports or technician reports or esthetician reports, whatever your designator is. Third from the top, I'm going to go to operator reports, and then all the way down here at the bottom, I've got my commission reports, and here are all of my different commission reports. So based on what it is I'm doing, what type of commissions I've set up, that's going to determine what reports I'm going to run to get the information I want to do payroll for my particular staff member. So that's where those commission reports are found, not in payroll, but in reports. Reports, sales, operator reports, commission reports. And there they all are for you. And again, if you set up sliding scale reports, sliding scale commissions and only sliding scale commissions, but then you run a report on percentages, you might say, hey, what's going on? Nothing shows up. Well, that's because you didn't set up a percentage commission. So the reports will only be able to reflect what you've set up. Okay? All right. Any questions on that before I continue?
Nope.
Okay. Well, actually, there haven't been a lot of questions, and we've covered booking, unbooking, reschedule appointments, and standing appointments. And we have covered processing traditional sales, and we have talked about commissions. So the next question to all of you is, because this class is technically over, Does anybody have any questions either on something you saw today or something you were hoping I was going to show you that perhaps I didn't?
Hey, Matt.
I do.
It sounds like there's a couple of questions. One of you go ahead and jump in first, and then I'll be sure to take the other question afterwards. Go ahead, one of you.
Okay, Matt. You were showing on those the sliding scales and the different commissions. Is there a way, okay, I'm being the manager, I should be able to control that and change those around. Is there a way of locking out my employees so that they can't go in and see that different settings?
Yes. So if I go to Setup, Configuration, General, one of my options is Passwords. Now, I don't actually have mine set up because it asking me for a password while I'm trying to do training would be annoying, especially if it was asking me all the time for a lot of different things that I may have password protected. But with passwords in the system, and this class doesn't really go over how to set up passwords and how that works. We do have a password video for you, and we can also teach you, but you could just call in for training and say, hey, I need information on passwords, and they can help you with that as well. But just so you know that in passwords, you are able to block your customers' access to, your staff members' access to different areas, including, and you don't see it here because it's kind of grayed out, but including payroll. So right now, I don't have a block on payroll, but let me go ahead and do that so you can see. I'm going to put in my master password, and I'm going to go to other here, and I'm going to block payroll so they cannot see it. And I'll go ahead and accept that. I'm also going to go into reports and say I don't want anybody without the proper password to be able to see operator reports or commission reports. So I'm going to block those as well, and accept and accept. Then when I put in somebody's password, like a manager or something like that, when I go to my setup here, not my setup, excuse me, let me cancel out of that. Other, there's payroll. It's been blocked. But if I check it now, it will unblock it for the password that I'm creating. Maybe that's a manager's password. But if I leave it blocked, then the password that I'm creating will not have access to that payroll. Same thing goes with reports. It's my manager's password, so I'm going to give my manager the ability to get into the operator reports and commission reports. But if it's not my manager's password, it's just one of my stylist's password or one of my therapist's passwords, then I'm not perhaps going to give them the ability to get into commissions. So yes, you can absolutely restrict almost every button in this software so that you can determine who can and who cannot get in and see different things. Okay? Any other questions? Yep. All right, guys, listen up. I've got one quick thing that I want to finish with, and that is that I have been recording this class, and this class is going to be turned into a YouTube link. If you are interested in having a copy of that, so if you would like me to email you a link to this exact class, you'll even hear your voices. It's not a generic class, it's actually this class. If you would like us to email you the link to this class that you just attended, just let me know right now. I'll take your email address and you'll get it probably within 2 hours of the end of this class.
Yes, please.
Yes, please.
Okay, so Daryl, why don't you give me the email you'd like me to send it to?
D.
Oh, you know what? I've already got it on that.
Yeah.
Okay, and this is the one at Intelligration?
You can send it to that one. Sure.
Okay. All right. And Bob, you want me to send it to the NY Saltem one?
Correct.
All right, gentlemen, you can expect an email from me today with a link to the class that you just attended. If you're going to be attending any of the other classes later today, I'm looking forward to hearing from you again. And if not, I want to say thank you very much for taking the time. The people that are most familiar with the software are the people who end up being the happiest with it. So really, thank you very much for spending this time with me today. And I look forward to seeing you in future classes. Have a great day, guys. Bye-bye.
You too. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye.